There's one right there. That feels good. There's one.
Wow. That's a net full.
There we go.
Good one. Real good one.
Look at that beast.
Beautiful.
Got him. Wow, that's a big one, dude.
That's what it's all about, man.
Nice job, you two.
Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience. This week on Lund's The Ultimate Fishing Experience. Wired Two Fish's Koenig and Ryan DeChaine fish Rainy Lake in Sunset Country, Ontario every chance they get. Rainy Lake offers them a high-quality multi-species angling opportunity where they can experiment with and perfect new techniques. With recent advances in forward-facing sonar, novel new techniques have been evolving to better leverage this powerful fishing tool. In Kobe and Ryan's hands, the gold standard 1-2 punch of a jerk bait and throwback jig and plastic for smallmouths is now more of a 1-2-3 punch, with the Minnesota rig starring as the new headliner, calling out curious smallmouth hidden in the rocks and helping them to better gauge the fish's mood. This ultimately catches more fish and makes for a great day on the water in Lund Country.
Hey guys, Koenig here with Wired to Fish.
And Ryan DeChaine.
And we're in beautiful Sunset Country today, Rainy Lake, Canadian Shield waters, and the target species today is smallmouth, but you know, anything can happen out on the water. Might run into a big walleye, pike, who knows what's gonna happen. So it's fall, and we have a bunch of baits on the deck, and we'll see what happens.
And we're really hoping for some multi-species action too. It's awesome when you can come out and target smallmouth, but then get those incidental pike and walleye, and Rainy Lake is a prime body of water for it. And the Pro V bass is a prime boat to tackle this big water.
Well, the first cold front of the fall just hit. Water temps just dipped below 70. Bait's kind of the name of the game out here on Rainy Lake. Cisco, smelt, that sort of deal. And so as these fish kind of make their way back out into some deeper water, they're just chasing bait. That's kind of what we're going to imitate today is bait fish. So we're gonna have a couple different rods on the deck. You never really know what you're gonna run into with smallmouth, so having a deck full of different rods is definitely an important thing. So might throw a Minnesota rig around. Obviously, moping is a huge deal up here. Who knows what's gonna happen? I guess we'll let the fish dictate that, but once you get around some fish up here, they're pretty eager to bite.
One of our passions is just experimenting with different presentations. It's fun just throwing different baits on fish to see if you can get them to respond. And with technology like forward-facing sonar, you can go out there and quickly gauge the mood of the fish, and you get on a fishery like Rainy Lake, you can play around and have some success.
You know, I picked this guy up right away this morning. Alabama rig, Minnesota rig, whatever you want to call it. But this is a really, really good way to draw fish out, especially out of the rocks. I'm able to see them, at least be able to tell if there's fish in the area. This thing just draws a lot of attention, a lot of vibration in the water, obviously a big profile. So just something that I like to pick up right away in the morning and try to attract some fish. There we go. There we go. That might be a good one. Yeah, decent. Just got out here, guys. This is like second cast of the morning. Just pulled up on this point. Water temps have really dropped in the last couple of days. These fish are making their way out to a little bit deeper water. They like to set up on points and humps with a lot of steep slate rock, it seems like, this time of year. Places where they can push smelt and tool will be up against some rocks and ambush them. Not a huge one, they're gonna get a lot bigger today, but good little start. So yeah, just a little 3-inch paddle tail swim bait on the back. I like something that's bright colored, just sticks out. A lot of these Canadian Shield lakes are fairly tannic water, so something bright and obnoxious, along with all the blades. There's a lot of flash and vibration going on down there, so something to call these fish in from a long ways away. It's a fun little rig to throw, especially this time of year.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
There's one right there.
Where at? Right there.
60.
There's a...
Getting anxious.
Oh yeah, here we go. Got him. Yeah, that was...
Oh, that's a nice one.
Oh, they're just supercharged in this water temp.
Woohoo!
Wow. That is why, this is why smallmouth bass are kind of fun. They're just ballistic.
I'm guessing he's got buddies with him.
There was a bunch, yeah. So then Kobe's dropping down right now because these smallmouth, all their buddies like to come up and follow their hooked friend, and then you can often catch one. I just switched up. I put on a jerk bait because it's just an amazing triggering lure for pulling fish up off a cover. The smallmouth can't resist the erratic action. Yeah, not a big one, but talk about acrobatic. And it's cool with smallmouth, their activity level, being a cold-blooded animal, changes with water temperature, but there we go. We just pull out of water temps in the 70s, and you can see these fish are really action-oriented.
Boy, when they get fired up.
And that was on the minnow, Kobe?
That was on the minnow, yep. Like Ryan said, it's a good bait to just hang back under the boat. I pitched it out a decent little ways, but.
And notice I'm not wasting any time getting back down there. Once you get a school fired up on these spots, you kind of want to capitalize when it's happened. These fish they're really active.
5-incher.
There we go.
Uh-oh.
There we go. When it's go time, you get going. Kobe, you can reclaim the wheel.
Okay.
And that's the fun thing, when you have a boat with a giant bow like this 2075 Pro V bass or the 1875, the bow is kind of where you do a lot of your fishing. And if you have a buddy that hooks up, the other guy takes command of the wheel, which is the trolling motor, and you do your unhooking and just kind of alternate. Ends up being kind of fun buddy teaming on these fish, and nobody feels left out. Everybody gets to run the wheel a little bit. Pretty little guy. Beautiful colors, unblemished.
They're pretty untouched up here.
Yeah, they are. Look at that, nice 120 millimeter jerkbait. Looks like forage, and that's gonna be a lot of the pattern today, is just picking baits that mimic the real thing, smelt and tulipy in this particular system. So we're just using colors that have hues of white, silver, chrome, that kind of thing. It's hard to beat a jerkbait in terms of realism.
Just gonna go ahead and thread a new one of these guys on. 3-inch paddle tail swim bait on the back of a 1/4 ounce swim bait head. I like something with a pretty heavy gauged hook on it. I like to set the hook, especially with that bait caster. You can kind of give them the beans. And so having something with a decent sized hook that's not gonna bend out, it's pretty important to me. I'm just gonna put a dab of super glue on there. And then that guy's gonna last me quite a few fish. Single hook, you don't have to mess around with them. Oh, you got one tracking.
A little better.
Yeah. There's one following it.
Yeah, so Kobe's gonna drop down and see if he can convert one of these chasers. Maybe I'll let him just kind of swim around a little bit, make some disturbance. Kobe's in the water, we'll see. But that's kind of the 1-2 punch on this program, is just be ready. And the sonar will tell you a lot, especially forward-facing sonar from all the major manufacturers. Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird. Hook a fish, keep your eye out there, and the smallmouth will show up, usually a whole pack of them, and then have your buddy cast another bait down there and catch them. There we go. Oh, Kobe's got one.
There we go. That's a good one. Beauty.
Hand grab that, Kobe, come on.
Oh, come on. Perched right in the top of the mouth. It's a nice fish. They're so pretty up here. Nice and brown. Look at that. Think they're feeding up? Every single one of these fish is so healthy up here.
Gosh, dang. I'll catch one too, Kobe. He needs a buddy. Points, rock humps, prominent structures in and around these islands, and usually on the tips of them, or real high spots, real prominent things that your mapping can identify for you. What you would think is a high percentage spot likely is. Then you just got to figure out what depth the fish are at around these spots. I'm fishing shallow with this jerk bait. Kobe has that Alabama rig on, which he can sink down to any depth. He can fish that effectively from 5 to 20 feet. And if we need to go deeper, we'll just drop a jig down. But the forward-facing sonar is going to tell us where these fish are at. And we just choose our presentation based on that. But the cool thing today, we can catch them on some shallow presentations. This is a nice one. This is Rapala's new PXR Maverick jerkbait, quote unquote tournament jerkbait. 3 hooks, VMC redline trebles, come in a bunch of really cool colors. It's one thing too, when you're in search mode, the ability to make long casts with these moving baits and cover water is huge. And we'll just go like this. Pretty bait, huh? Look at that, kind of translucent. You got a little blue-green in there, like a rainbow smelt. And those hooks are sticky. This jerkbait is an incredible hooking bait. All right. So jerkbaits seem like they've really grown in popularity now, especially with forward-facing sonar, because this is a true freestyle bait. While it does have a built-in action on a straight retrieve, these things are really designed to be fished with the rod tip, and you can manipulate this bait to do a lot of different things. So it is freestyle in that sense, but now that you can see a fish respond to your bait, you can manipulate this bait to the mood of the fish. And that's what makes jerkbaits so effective. They can trigger fish in a wide range of moods. That'll be a good one.
That might be a little better fish. Coming up like a smallmouth. We've moved into a little bit deeper water. It seems like sometimes the deeper you go, the bigger they become. Oh yeah. Pretty dark. Come here, buddy. All right. Nice fish. He was just sitting on some shelf rock, and that's kind of the deal, kind of what I like to look for out here is where rock kind of jetties up, and what I think happens is these fish are looking for those steep inclines to kind of pin bait up against it and ambush it. So that's kind of what I try to look for on my graph, and throw my bait over those and drag it right over the top. Like I said before, throwing the Alabama rig today. There's a bunch of different variations of it, but this is actually called a Minnesota rig. We can only use 1 hook in Minnesota. I thoroughly enjoy throwing this bait for a couple different reasons. Number one, it's a great bait fish imitator. When you get to this time of year, that seems to be the number one thing that these smallmouths are feeding up on is bait, and there's no better imitating bait than a bait ball like this Alabama rig presents. Another big reason that I like it is I can see it on my forward-facing sonar. It's a great big presentation in the water, so being able to cast it out, watch it go all the way down, and then engage once it's about a foot or 2 off bottom is really, really important, especially when you get around a lot of the shield rock. It's super snaggy, so I don't want that thing dragging down in the rocks. Another big reason is it's a built-in pike and muskie leader. It's about a 5 to 6 inch wire on that. So if a predator fish, a big toothy critter, comes and bites that little swim bait, I don't feel like I'm gonna lose quite as many. There's a lot of different benefits to throwing this guy. You can't always get away with it, but when it gets to this time of year, I'm always gonna have one of these guys on the deck. Got a big old walleye. See that? That's probably a walleye sitting right there. There's your lure. He's coming after it. Just chasing it.
There we go.
There we go.
That is why we like sunset country. There's the ability to go out and catch a lot of different species on the same presentation. Standard jig and a minnow plastic. Kobe's pretty good at interpreting what's on the screen if they're smallmouth or walleye. We've been going over a lot of fish, and then if they're bottom oriented, it seems like that's what the walleye are doing. Drop a jig down, catch them. It'd be a terrific eating fish. And then the next drop might be a 10, 15 pound pike.
You never know what you're gonna get out here.
This is why it's arguably one of the finest multi-species destinations in the world, or at least North America. It's northwestern Ontario, Rainy Lake, Lake of the Woods, and any number of bodies of water up in this region of the world. And that looks like what they eat. Pretty simple. Without question, the biggest advancement in fishing technology has been forward-facing sonar in the last several years, and All of the major manufacturers for freshwater fish finders have that technology. And it's basically forward-looking ultrasound where you can scan out a significant distance away from the boat and see fish swimming around in real time. And that's gonna yield a lot of insight on the water. And especially this time of year when we're up here, we're able to pull up on these spots, cast a bait out, see our bait, and then see fish come out of cover. If they're suspended, we're gonna see them, but we're also seeing what a spot has, if it's a good fish potential spot.
I use it more as a learning tool than actually catching the fish, you know. It's undeniable that you can sense fish behavior with this thing and what baits to throw when, how deep the fish are, but also looking at what they're set up on. That's gonna kind of clue me into what to look for on the next spot. Like today, they're kind of set up on some steep rock, and so I'm gonna look for that. I'm gonna shine my live imaging around and look for that and make casts over it. Ryan kind of mentioned that these fish are glued really tight to bottom. A lot of times they're kind of hidden in the rock, so we're not always gonna see the fish on the unit, but making casts at high percentage areas is a really big thing. And then there's a lot of different advantages to running it. Obviously you don't need it, but it helps when you have it on your boat.
Nice walleye, I believe. Yeah. Jerk baits, catch them all too. Pretty, look at that. Canadian gold in the rear treble. And the jerk bait definitely has become one of the top walleye artificials on the market. I mean, I think obviously minnow plugs have always been good, but we're just catching walleye with such consistency on jerk baits now. Look at that, really fun. It's just fun picking up a rod and fishing it a little more aggressively, if that's how you like to fish, and being able to trigger predator fish, walleyes, into biting. It doesn't always have to be live bait drug on the bottom.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a big one. Oh, hold up.
It's a good fishing day. Happy.
Mine's not nearly as big as yours.
Yeah, wow, they are really, really supercharged.
Yeah. It's a nice one, right?
Yeah.
T-boned.
Yeah, it was a great bite. That's a really healthy fish. You know, see the belly on this guy. That's this time of year too. These fish have been feeding during the entire warm water period, so they're really fat. I mean, they're really well-rounded fish.
Even the small guys.
Yeah.
Little butterballs.
But they're carrying a lot of weight this time of year. So you get these fish that are proportioned really well, you know. Look at that. Woo.
They are fun to catch.
Really beautiful fish, yeah.
And they're rowdy.
All sizes are fun. Everybody smiles. Little kids, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas. And they bite, you know, you can catch these fish. You don't have to grind all day. Well, today, guys, we're fishing out of Lund's 2075 Pro V bass, and here at Wired to Fish, we've been running a Pro V bass since 2016 when this boat was introduced, because these boats really allow us to do pretty much everything. I'll let Kobe expand a little bit on some of our recent adventures out of these boats.
Yeah, like Ryan said, I mean, you can go on big water, small water, doesn't really matter with this puppy. From Lake Superior to some of the northern backwaters that we're able to fish, this boat really does handle it all. Just the fishability and being able to fish multiple people out of it. It's not a traditional bass boat where you can only fit 2 or 3 people. Being able to put, you know, 3, 4, 5 people in this boat and fish comfortably is definitely something that I've enjoyed over the last couple of years.
And you still have the deck space, huge deck up front. This deck is plenty big to fish a couple people out back, and nobody does storage better than Lund. We're pretty opportunistic with regards to content at Wired to Fish, meaning we're gonna have rods and reels that'll allow us to tackle a lot of different fish species. And that means we have to have a lot of storage. So usually you'll find our center rod locker with about 20 rods in it, and that fits more than 20 comfortably. We tend to run rod slicks, and you can stack this thing right to the max. Same with tackle storage. Both sides, port and starboard, are absolutely loaded to the gills with everything under the sun. So we can go out and target today pike, muskie, walleye, panfish. You can go out and do everything simply based on the fact that you can bring everything. So regardless, if you're an angler that likes to focus in on one target species, such as bass, because this boat does have a bass name, but it does a heck of a lot more. I personally like to chase everything. And I also have a family, and this boat has allowed me to do everything. It doesn't hold me back in any regard.
Kind of getting quite as active. The sun poked out, and it was beautiful conditions right away this morning, but.
That's a good one.
Yeah, grab the old moper. There we go.
Pretty good representative sample of today. Just another cookie cutter, quality smallmouth bass. We got a pile of fish, a bunch of nice ones, and we definitely laid out some presentations that are going to work for you. If you come to Northwest Ontario, have some baits that you can fish the upper water column, but also have some jigs with minnow imitating plastics that you can work at any depth, and you're going to have some success.
There we go. What do we got? Oh, it's a big walleye.
Then we didn't bring the net.
Oh man, let's try to get it on this side. Yeah, that's a beauty.
Should I assist you, or I'll do my best.
Just don't mess it up.
No guarantees. Nice fish, Colby. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
I can't even see the bait.
All right, here we go. Oh, it's choked. She is down the hatch.
Can we bring the net next time, please? Look at that, huh?
Sunset country. Does it get any better than that?
Look at that, down the hatch, on the Demiki rig, on the moping. Thank you, Bill and Jimmy Linder and Gussie and all the people that taught us this technique. We're just adopters, and we're thankful for it. Sweet.
Oh man, nice golden walleye.
Little proof that the Pro V bass is a wicked walleye boat too.
Yep. The Pro V bass is not just for bass fishing.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.